I got to researching and talking through two translators to get to the Dogon dialect. I got to talking about their creation thoughts and how they felt like there was this star that life came from, and there were like twin stars. And I'm not going to try to pretend like I'm a Dogon theologian here, but it sparked a lot of thought about creation. Being in Africa, being able to talk to Africans, being able to hear the drums of creation, being able to hear the other end, the drums of passing on in death. That whole spectrum filled me with this subject, and I thought, this is where I want to begin the project.
The first song that MOJA ever composed in English was about a real-life historical figure named Ludwig Krapf, a missionary in the Usambara Mountains of East Africa. Enos describes a vivid scene of dogs barking and children playing as we meet that missionary choir.
The first choir you hear in Volume 1 is actually from the Lushoto Lutheran Church, which goes way back to the Lutheran missionary whose journal I read that drew me to that geographical area and started the whole story. So I had the good fortune of recording the descendants of my character MOJA's family and her people of that time. I wanted them to represent what it would be like in 1853 if some missionary had come in and tried to teach them hymns. The song I had MOJA write for this choir was called Abundantly, that God intends for us to live abundantly, that He is the God of abundance. And I did that because Africa is a land of abundance, and yet the people are desperately poor, and the land has been pillaged and raped and plundered by every group who could possibly come in and do it, and it's still being done to this day. But the intention in that song is we were meant to live abundantly.
MOJA and Haji are brought to the slave market in Zanzibar, where Haji is forced to experience the horrors of the castration block firsthand.
The people that I was with in the room when I wanted to include it in there said, let's don't put it in there. It's too graphic, it's too gross, it's too ugly. I don't like it, I'm uncomfortable. And I said, that's exactly why I want it in there.
The only question I had to Carl was, how graphic are we gonna get? Because if we're gonna get too graphic, I don't wanna lose people. I don't want people going, oh my God,
We have the whistle through the air of the old axe. Whoosh, pow! Because it emphasizes that the guy just lost his testicles.
Jesus. It's like, it's one of those things where you're just like, oh God.
The guys have no chance to defend themselves, to tell them why they did not want to be castrated or anything like that. They just bring them in, castrate them, and off they go. When we're looking at slavery, we like to be outraged, but we don't like to look at what's really bad about it. We don't like to look at castration, because that's a horrible thing to perceive. I stood there in Zanzibar. I stood on the castration blocks. I was in the dungeons. I saw where they were changed. I saw where so much blood came from the castration that it's still embedded. You can see it in the concrete. How much pain and suffering do you see in the blood there? Slavery was a business. Until you understand that slavery is a business, you can't understand slavery.
Adding all of those things of realism to me has enhanced his lyrics. It's enhanced his dialogue. So when Haji was on the chopping block and they were getting ready to cut his nuts off, it's one of those things where you had to feel his pain, but you let it go like, oh dude, that's really what happened.